Live from the KWQC Broadcast Center, this is TV6 Quad Cities Today.
Good Monday morning. If you are just waking up, we have been following breaking news all morning long. Downtown Prophetstown, massive fire. We're looking at 7 businesses that are impacted by this fire. We have live team coverage, and we'll bring you all of those details coming up.
Big story, remarkable story, too, the way the community is coming together. It's really remarkable. Good morning, I'm David Nelson. Good
Monday morning. I'm Melissa Smith. Thanks so much for waking up early with us. First of all, we are following, obviously, breaking news. The weather, though, looks like the humidity is finally returning.
That's right, and we'll go to Greg in just a second. First, though, we want to go live back to the scene. A fire in downtown Prophetstown, Illinois, broke out around 4 hours ago. KWQC News was first on the scene. Amber O'Brien's been reporting live the last couple of hours. She's here now with the very latest. Amber.
David, firefighters are still battling the flames here downtown Prophetstown, where the flames broke out just after 2 this morning. I want to give you an aerial shot here because the flames are still protruding from the building on the south side. We just talked to the fire chief of Rock Falls. He's doing the sort of media communication here. Just take a look at these buildings. Flames still spurting out of that south portion. And as we mentioned earlier, all that is left now is a shell of these buildings. It is an active fire at this point. They are still working to put out those flames, but as far as spreading, they have contained it. I'd like to show you video from earlier this morning when we first arrived on scene. This is also what Cindy had seen. Cindy Jean, who owns the restaurant where they believe the fire had began. This is what she first saw when she looked out her back window.
This is TV6 News at 6.
Downtown on fire, flames glowing through the night, shooting into the sky in Prophetstown, Illinois. Some can be seen from 10 miles away. Crews work for hours putting water on the flames from the ground and from the air, eventually draining the town's water system.
All I know is I called for more help, more help, more help.
And this is how it looks now, a shell of its former glory. 8 buildings burned, 6 a total loss.
I just ran out the front door, down my front steps.
But everyone is okay, left now to pick up the pieces of businesses lost, jobs lost, and a town center lost in Prophetstown.
Hurts all the people involved, the community, but we'll pull through. Somehow we'll pull through.
We have team coverage tonight of this devastating fire. It is the word we've been hearing all day concerning this ordeal. Devastating, and that's why we are dedicating resources to this story tonight. It's tough to see, tough to deal with, and our crews are hoping to provide some answers for you tonight. KWQC's Lynn Enwin will be asking those questions in Prophetstown. Shireen Mohammed will talk about the Red Cross angle, and Amber O'Brien, who was first on the scene this morning, will show us how the community is already helping right now some of the business owners. Now, this is the area we're talking about in Prophetstown, Illinois. It is the downtown, which is about an hour away from the Quad City metro area. A downtown that's won a lot of awards for its revitalization and growth, reduced now to a shell. And here's what we know about that. 8 buildings on the stretch of the downtown are affected by the fire. 6 are a total loss. The other 2 have smoke damage. Nobody was hurt, but people do live above these businesses. The fire started around 2:30 in the morning. Immediately, the fire chief knew it could be a bad one and called in mutual aid. They fought the fire for hours using hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. In fact, so much water that it drained the water tower in Prophetstown and also in neighboring Linden. Both towns are under a boil order right now tonight. So they needed so much water that they had to tap in to the Rock River, going several blocks away to go to the Rock and pull out that water from the state park. Now, this shows the crews getting ready at this point on the Rock, extracting the water to haul it all downtown. And firefighters had a lot of help in this effort. A farmer and a local business also pulled up with water tanks. We start our team coverage right now with KWQC's Shireen Mohammed in Prophetstown to find out what's going on right there now. Shireen?
Well, they're starting to take down the buildings. They've already taken down 2, and now they're starting on the 3rd building that they're taking down. People are standing by, shocked and in disbelief at what's going on right now in their own community. Now, some I spoke with say that their hearts go out to the victims that their lives could have been lost in those buildings, and the Red Cross is currently helping them with food, clothes, and shelter, and they're hoping that they will be helping them in days to come as well. They got the call originally at 4 in the morning, and they've been out on the scene all day providing, again, food and water to the fire crews, but the Red Cross has also been helping those victims as well. They gave them money to buy clothes and a motel for them to take shelter. They say the victims are just in disbelief and at a total loss.
They have to start from square one. They have family, they have neighbors, they have friends, but yeah, they have lost everything. Some of them even lost their cars. They're gone.
Now, some of the volunteers that I spoke with also say that they will be making follow-up calls with those victims to make sure that they are on the path to recovery. Again, they are taking down that third building, as you can see, and they will be taking down the ones that are next to them as well. Reporting live in Prophetstown, Shireen Mohammed, KWQC TV 6 News.
A lot going on there in Prophetstown. Thank you, Shireen. Other communities also came in to the rescue. Crews from a half dozen counties all around the area. Clinton in Iowa, then Carroll, Whiteside, Lee, Henry, and Bureau on the Illinois side, all coming in to fight the fire. 25 crews there all at once. Too many trucks to count. And tonight we can tell you that the block affected housed a salon, the Historic Society, and a pharmacy. Now, at the pharmacy, they say if you're in need of medication, call the Galena office and they will bring it down to Prophetstown for you. The buildings also contained apartments where several people lived on the second floor. We continue now our team coverage with KWQC's Amber O'Brien and a woman who lost everything in the fire.
Fire officials confirm the fire began at Cindy Jean's restaurant. Cindy Jean herself lived on the second floor. She's the one who called 911, but now this is all that's left.
And I smelled smoke and I saw flames. So I grabbed my phone and just ran out the front and called 911. Just been crazy ever since. And I'm very thankful that I'm alive. And I don't really have anything else left. I'm like, wow, I am so glad I woke up. And I really feel it was God that woke me up and got me out. The people, my employees, Dawn is one of my employees, and she takes care of me. If I have a time of need, she's always been there for me. All of my employees, there's been a lot of them down here with me. They've all been good to me throughout the years that I've been here, 5 years. And the town of Prophetstown has been awesome to me. They love me, and they don't want to ever see me leave. And they're just very caring and loving people. I believe in God, and I know God is taking care of me all the time.
More team coverage now with Lenan Nguyen, who's here with more on what we just heard, how the community really came together, Lenan.
Paula, as soon as word spread of this fire, community members and others from even out of town were out in full force to take a look at all that was lost. Some were very emotional as they took pictures, and many were connected in some way to the people who lived and owned businesses in those buildings. Business owners nearby tell us it's very difficult to see their friends and neighbors' livelihood burned to the ground today, but right away, many from the community and beyond jumped into action to help. We spoke to a business owner who owns an air duct repair company in the Kwqc. He tells us he grew up nearby and drove in this morning to see the damage for himself and try to help businesses affected by smoke damage. And a volunteer firefighter this morning helping to battle the flames tells us he owns an excavation company. Right after fighting the fire, he jumped right back on the road to get his equipment and help tear these buildings down.
They're on the heavy equipment to make the building, bring the buildings into a safe status, and that way the town will be able to get past this, the streets will get back open, and they won't get anybody hurt or killed trying to do it some other way.
Just because we know they're going to have smoke damage, we know people's going to have problems with this, and you know, whatever we can do to help out. I mean, if there's something we can help them with, and hopefully give them some discounts and stuff on doing the work and make things better for them, as comfortable as they can to hopefully recover from this.
Community members tell us at least 3 business owners in these buildings lived above their businesses. They've lost both their homes and their livelihood tonight in today's tragic fire, but many say they're still thankful no one was hurt. Paula?
That is true about that, Linan. Thank you. Now, the fire, we've said, could be seen from miles away. Lots of you sent us pictures of it. This one is from Christopher Williams, which really shows how you can see the flames straight on through the building and how bright the sky got with how it lit up like a furnace. And then a shot from Christopher Williams when the flames were out from the back of the building in the rubble and the smoke as it all crumbles to the ground. We want to thank all of you who fed us tips about this fire. We got phone calls to our newsroom, posts to our Facebook page, and a reminder that whenever you see news happen, you can always go to our Facebook page, email us at news@kwqc.com, or call us 823-KWQC. And for the latest on this fire, we're still working now to get information about the cause, the fate of the businesses, and the latest on the boil order. So keep us up to date on KWQC.com.
And we have team coverage tonight from the resources used to help fight this fire to the impact it could have on the area economically. And that story tops your news at 10 tonight. For a town that prides itself in its main street, the community there says today's loss is devastating. But members of one organization in town say they already have a plan to get the business district back on its feet. KWQC's Danielle McCarthy begins our team coverage with more on that plan.
The group Prophetstown Main Street says as of right now, the town is looking at a loss of about $1 million. That'll come from a loss in sales tax, traffic in the area, and the buildings themselves. And despite all the loss, the group says Prophetstown is going to be okay. As the walls come crashing down, Eileen Detra's hopes are higher than ever.
I just had a nap all morning, but like I said, I'm positive. I think good things can come out of bad things.
Prophetstown became one of the first official Illinois Main Street communities 20 years ago. And as executive director of Prophetstown Main Street, Detra says there's a hole now in the downtown the group has worked so hard to revitalize.
That's very scary. And that's why, I'm not going to say I'm not scared, but I'm optimistic that maybe something, I don't know what good could come out of it, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Prophetstown Main Street Economic Development Chair Larry Deneve says he already has an idea of what that good might be.
We do have a plan, and the plan that we've been talking about this afternoon, I've met with some of our committee members, is the first thing we want to do is we want to connect with a couple of the towns that have already went through this.
Towns that have been through fires like this and made a comeback. And if they can do it, why can't Prophetstown?
We took a hit today, but you know what? We'll come back. We'll come back. I know we will.
Detra couldn't agree more.
We're gonna come back. We are. I do believe that. I do. I really do.
To do that, they're hoping to get grant money to rebuild and add new businesses. They say doing that will be a challenge, but for these lifelong residents, it's worth it. In Prophetstown, Danielle McCarthy, KWQC TV6 News.
Well, as the fire made its way from one building to the next, crews evacuated people on this block. No one was hurt, but people live above the businesses in these buildings up here. One woman who lived above her craft store shares how she got out before the fire eventually spread to her home and then her business.
I was sound asleep. They had a hard time getting me awake. And it's like, I guess they had to take an axe to my front door to get it unlocked, of course, because I had my door locked. And my bedroom was in the back. They found me. They opened the door and shone this light in my face, and there stood a fireman. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what a nightmare. He told me to get out of there, so I grabbed what I could. And I went downstairs and went across the street and just watched the fire progress down the street. The upstairs fell into the business part, and then all the water damage. I just knew I was going to get out and hoping my building didn't burn, but I think it's probably a total loss. I talked about retiring here in a year or two. Somebody upstairs must have heard me.
It's a shock because this town will never be the same. We had a very nostalgic Main Street. It's gone.
Authorities make 2 arrests in connection to the devastating fire in Prophetstown, Illinois, and both suspects are under the age of 18. Tonight, the community of Prophetstown is reeling in the shock of the news that 2 juveniles are accused of setting the fire that burned part of their downtown. Here is a live look at the devastation left from that fire. According to police, it started when the suspects lit a recycling bin on fire behind one of those downtown buildings. Flames got out of hand and the fire spread quickly from there. Authorities say it was a family member that came forward, and that led police to question the boys ages 16 and 12. That's how authorities were able to determine the fire was in a recycle bin located behind Cindy Jean's restaurant. We're told they are half-brothers and in town visiting family. The boys are now in custody at a juvenile detention center in Galesburg.
No matter how many times you see that, I mean, it still gets at you when you see somebody that young involved in something that's horrific.
The boys will be in court tomorrow, and that's when we should find out what charges they could be facing.
Tonight, a TV6 exclusive, the father of the boys accused of starting the Prophetstown fire sits down with KWQC, speaking out for the first time since that fire. In July, the overnight blaze destroyed 8 historic buildings. Homes and businesses inside were a total loss. That night, 2 young boys, just 12 and 16 years old, were arrested in connection with the fire. Police say the boys set fire to a recycle bin behind Cindy Jean's restaurant when it got out of control. The boys were from out of town, staying with their father. Tonight, both are under house arrest. KWQC's Lenanda Wynn spoke one-on-one with the boys' father today, who made that decision to turn the boys in.
Gary, the boys' father, Michael Hamstra, tells us there are really no words to describe what he and his family have been going through these last few weeks. But they do have these words for the community tonight. We're sorry.
Just seeing it every day tears me up, knowing what happened, and, you know, I wish I could take everything back, but I can't.
Michael Hamstra grew up in Prophetstown, spending almost his entire life in town. He tells us seeing the destruction that night literally hit home.
I just couldn't believe it, watching half of Main Street, where I used to live in one of those apartments that burnt down when I was a little kid. Watching all that was devastating.
But that devastating feeling would soon multiply 100-fold when he noticed his boys acting strange.
I would say they were acting very disturbed, you know, when things weren't feeling right to me, so I started asking questions.
Hamstra says when he found out what happened, everything changed.
I felt like my soul jumped out of my body. That my whole life just went down the tubes.
But he knew what he had to do and turned them in. Is this the hardest thing you've ever done?
This is the hardest thing I've ever dealt with. And it was very scary, but I would never go back a different way of doing it again. I would do the same thing if it happened again tomorrow. I'd do the exact same thing.
Since that day, it's been an emotional roller coaster for the family.
They're very emotional at times. They have their ups and downs, just like we're going through our ups and downs, and they're scared. They're scared of what the outcome's going to be.
And while they don't know what the outcome will be in court, Hamstra hopes his boys can give back to the community.
All I can say is I'm sorry for what my boys have done, and, you know, they're very regretful on what they've done, and we will do whatever it takes to help give back to the community and to help try to make things right again.
And help with the healing.
I'm extremely sorry for what my boys have done, and I hope that, you know, we can all come together and make this right and come out a better, stronger community.
And the boy's father also tells us he hopes his boys can help others learn from their story. When this is all said and done, he hopes both boys can travel to different communities and share their experiences.
Pastors and ministers from every church in the community led the service as a way to get the community together and moving forward. KWQC's Danielle McCarthy was there and joins us live now. Danielle.
Yeah, it was a really, really moving sight to see as hundreds and hundreds of members of the community gathered right here around the rubble, many of them wearing these shirts right here that say Prophet Strong. And tonight was all about displaying that strength. The flames are long gone, but tonight the firefighters are here. Hundreds in the community coming together right here to say thank you.
We've received support in terms of money, in terms of food, in terms of clothing, obviously assistance fighting the fire from communities near and far.
And to say a prayer.
And that you are greater than what has happened here.
A prayer for hope, gratitude, and the future.
For his direction and his guidance to show us where we need to be in the future and how to rebuild.
Joining hands, they surrounded the rubble for a moment of silence. Many Many residents like Priscilla Nichols couldn't help but be overcome by emotion.
My whole childhood basically has been there. It's one of those things you see happen in other towns, but you don't ever think it's going to happen to you.
And now this community is ready to move forward. And as they came together in song, the firefighters decided to give even more to the community that has lost so much.
Feels really good. I'm glad I could give it back to the community. It gives me pride to serve the party.
Very nice. Very nice. This right here is one of the bricks that the firefighters were handing out to members of the community earlier today. They're still covered in ash and smell like smoke, but residents here say that they will cherish these bricks forever. Reporting live in Prophetstown, Danielle McCarthy, KWQC, TV6 News. Yeah, the fire was a month and a half ago, and take a look here. This is how the town still looks today. The cleanup is expected to cost the city about $160,000, and the cost of the rebuild is still unknown. Donations have been rolling in, though, from the community to make it all a reality. And one of the biggest donations is coming from a group of people the city might never know. It's a town where people say everybody knows everybody. So we asked just about everybody if they knew a particular group of farmers. Have you heard of this group of farmers that is donating corn to raise money for the rebuilding fund?
No.
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
I actually have not.
You don't know who they are?
I don't.
It's unbelievable.
It seems the mayor may be the only one in town who does know about this group.
The farmers in this area, a lot of them have come together and offered to donate sizable amounts for the cleanup and the rebuilding. And I guess the part that gets me the most is they want to remain anonymous.
That's right. Somewhere behind this field of corn is one of about a dozen farmers who want no recognition for what they're doing, selling about $50,000 worth of corn at this grain facility and giving all the money to the city's rebuilding fund.
A $50,000 donation to the city could be like night and day. That could get us out of the red for any cleanup expense.
So why make such a big donation? We were lucky enough to track down one of those anonymous farmers to explain.
I talked to the mayor. I says, what happens if the people don't have enough insurance and the city takes it over, and who's got to pay the difference? He said, well, the city will have to borrow the money and do it, you know. So I said, well, let me see what we can do. So that's what got it started.
And while they may never know who these farmers are, the community has a few things they'd like to tell them.
Well, I think it's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. Whoever is doing it is amazing.
But, you know, I kind of wish they let us know who they are so we could thank them.
In Prophetstown, Danielle McCarthy, KWQC TV6 News.
Clearing debris from downtown Prophetstown today. More cleanup from the fire that destroyed 8 buildings this summer. The community working together to make this cleanup possible. Cost of the demolition alone is about $160,000. The cost of the rebuild still unknown, but donations are rolling in to make it happen.
I think, you know, their whole mission is they want to get it cleaned up and get businesses put in here again. And I think that, you know, our Main Street program is working on trying to get attraction businesses to rebuild. And I think it can be done.
One of the donations the city expects will come from a group of anonymous farmers hoping to give $50,000 to the cleanup and rebuilding efforts. The cleanup is expected to take about 3 to 4 weeks. The mayor of Prophetstown says the city should be done cleaning up after the aftermath of the Main Street fire sometime tomorrow. The mid-July fire destroyed 8 businesses and estimated to have caused about $4 million in damage. Insurance companies did end up covering a lot of that cost. But to make up for what they would not cover, the town started a fire victims fund. And today they told KWQC's Danielle McCarthy they're getting back on their feet with the help of 2 individuals with very big hearts.
The bricks are being hauled away. The smell of smoke no longer lingers in the air. And piles of dirt stand in place of the former buildings.
It's a relief to me to see the rubble gone because it helps the bad memories go away of the horrifying night.
Cindy Eric's restaurant may be gone, but the pain she and the other business owners feel is still very much alive.
It's kind of an empty feeling, but I stood here for 3 days last week watching them scoop out everything to see my building was the only one left with merchandise in it.
And just across the street from where that building stood, 2 women are working to ease the victims' pain.
We're helping friends and people that we treat like family, you know, and nothing can be more satisfying than knowing that you can help.
Kate Fisk and Jamie Mosher started selling these t-shirts back in July to raise money for the fire victims. And Monday morning, they were able to give them all the money they've raised so far.
It's been a rewarding experience, even though neither one of us did this to get rewarded for it. We weren't looking for any kind of congratulations or anything. We were doing it to help our friends.
The project began with the humble goal of selling 100 shirts, but quickly turned into somewhat of a second job as thousands of orders rolled in. Today, the pair has sold 2,300 shirts and raised $21,000 for the victims.
It'll help a lot, definitely, very much so. Yeah.
To me, I just feel so loved and so cared for. Jamie and Katie, they gave from the bottom of their heart.
Hearts that just might be the biggest in this small town.
Thank you all.
In Prophetstown, Danielle McCarthy, KWQC, TV6 News.
Nice touch. The city says it will give away the now empty lots for free as an incentive to bring in new businesses. The mayor says anyone interested can start building as soon as tomorrow.